Okay, I appreciate everybody hanging on. They're still there. Coach Rick and I changed times. He had something to do this afternoon. I didn't have much to do. It's supposed to rain over here, so it hasn't yet. But anyway, I'm glad we got some people on the line. We had a good spring. No real serious injuries. Dylan Thompson is going to be our quarterback, obviously. He's the only one that's played a lot. We returned most of our offensive guys. Two big losses, of course, Connor Shaw winning his quarterback ever here, and Bruce Ellington, the wide receiver. On defense, we lost our two starting corners, and, of course, we lost Jadavion Clowney and Chaz Sutton, starting defensive ends, Kelsey Quarles, defensive tackle, who made it All-American along with Clowney. So we got some replacements to do on defense. All of our kickers are back, but we'll be pre-season 9 or 10, something like that, which we've been the last 2-3 years. Hopefully we can do that, or maybe even a little better.
Thanks, Coach. Your first question comes from David Pascal of the Chattanooga Times Free Press.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned Connor Shaw. With him leaving and with Murray and Manziel and McCarron all leaving, do you think the league maybe takes a step back with all the good quarterbacks it lost, or maybe doesn't quite pack the same offensive punch?
Time will only tell. Certainly Dylan Thompson has played well the 3 or 4 games he's had a chance to play. He's a fifth-year redshirt quarterback, and he's going to try to pack everything into one season. I know he is fired up and really looking forward to the year. I haven't looked around all the other teams. Nobody knew who Johnny Manziel was a couple of years ago until he stepped on the field. So who knows? Who knows what quarterback will emerge?
And then with the SEC announcing its scheduling the other day, do you feel like South Carolina is, I don't know if victim may be too strong of a word, but with the league's tradition, you've got Alabama, Tennessee, you've got Auburn, Georgia. I mean, I know when South Carolina was brought in with Arkansas, those two teams had never played, and now moving forward, you're going to be paired with Texas A&M, and the two of y'all have never played until this August. I mean, do you feel like South Carolina was just kind of a victim of tradition there?
Well, we're not a victim. It didn't matter to us either way. The reason I thought the 6-0-2 was the best is the most fair way to go. I don't know anybody would not say the most fair thing to do is alternate two teams on the other side and not have fixed permanent opponents. We don't have anybody. We have one fixed permanent opponent. It's Clemson University. And if you ask our fans here at the University of South Carolina, they would rather win that game than any conference game. So we're a little bit different. You know, everybody's a little different. And the most fair way to do it is not the way our conference decided to do it, the way each school sort of looked out what was best for them, and that's the way we decided to go. It didn't matter to us that much, but again, I sort of understand Joe will leave at LSU. They're getting a bad deal out of this.
Thank you.
Next question comes from Josh Kendall of The State.
Hey, Steve, I wonder if you had any updates on Rory Anderson, Sean Carson, and I guess Connor Mitch is in a walking boot. What's going on with those guys?
Well, Sean Carson had surgery on his shoulder. That one tackle in the spring game just landed on it funny, and Dr. Guy had to go in there and fix it up. So that's the only halfway serious injury. Buster should be fine with the tricep. That should heal up hopefully in a month or so. And did you say Connor Mitch had a boot on?
Yeah.
That was something I didn't know about. So he must have done that the other day playing basketball or something.
So Sean will miss the fall. Will be back in the fall to be determined?
They're all scheduled to be back in the fall.
Our next question will come from Bob Holt of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Okay, sir.
Hey, I know Nick Saban wanted to play 9 conference games. How'd you feel about that?
Well, if I was Alabama and did not have a in-state rival in another conference, I'd probably go for 9 too. I did like the idea that the commissioner and the presidents and the ADs have sort of insisted these other schools play a a team from one of the other major conferences. Maybe Texas and Texas A&M can get back together. Maybe Missouri and Kansas can get back each other. I sort of think it was a shame that these schools quit playing each other just because you change conferences. But again, like I say, one of our biggest games, if not the biggest for our fans in our state, is our in-state rival Clemson. And they've been very good. They've been in the top 10 the last 2 years, as we have. And I think we're the only state in America that's had both state universities in the top 10 the last 2 years. So give Clemson a little bragging rights. Those guys have done very well up there.
And I know there's a new rule this summer that you guys can have more contact or some contact with the players. How do you feel about that? How do you guys plan to utilize it?
I think it's a good rule. The basketball coaches have been able to work with their players, I think, 2 or something like that during the summer. And now I think the football coaches get 2 hours a week, something like that. And it's good for the youngsters to sort of learn the playbook a little bit, watch some tape, maybe with the assistant coach. In the past, we've had the older players, maybe the junior or senior quarterback, try to coach the receivers and the other quarterbacks and things like that. Now, the coaches will be able to spend a couple hours with them. So I think it'll be helpful.
Next question is from Dwayne Rankin of the Montgomery Advertiser.
Yes, Coach. Going into the draft, Clowney, it's all over the board on what people are saying about him as far as mock draft boards, things of that sort. Just how do you feel about what's being said about him, and some of it is fair and some of it unfair?
Well, I think he's going to be the number 1 pick, but only time will tell. The Houston Texans have, I guess, been pretty secretive about what they're going to do. But there's nobody that can pass rush like him coming out of college ball, that's for sure, and maybe he might be the best in a long time. Statistically, he did not have the year this year. They had a couple of guys waiting on him most every pass play, and he had a couple of nagging injuries, and it was it was a hard situation for him, being the projected number 1 pick. He had nowhere to go but down. And, of course, he didn't have to play this year. He could have sat out and probably still been the number 1 pick. So it was sort of a delicate situation we had to handle around here. But out of Jadeveon, his coach Deke Adams, our strength coach, all of us, I think, handled it in an appropriate way. And somehow or another, we went 11-2, and he finished the year healthy, and we were all smiling after the Capital One Bowl against Wisconsin.